Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer. Today's guest is Jeanette Wummel from near Lansing, Michigan, and she's the author of 4 adult coloring books and a co-author of 3 more. Welcome, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit more about how you got started in the adult coloring book business.
Well, I've been working on coloring pages for about 2 years now. Originally, I was creating black and white Zendoodle art to sell as prints, and I kept having people come up to me and say they really would like to color it. So it was a really easy switch. I thought, why not? I just switched what I was printing on, and they kind of took off as a hit, my pages. And then I went from my coloring pages into making coloring books, which my first book took me a little bit longer to produce, just because I had no idea how to get it out there.
So tell me a little bit about that process, because there are a lot of people out there who they're either illustrators or artists, and they see this adult coloring book craze. What were the steps that you had to take to go from being the artist to now being a published coloring book author?
Well, when I went to become published, I did a lot of research. There's a lot more out there now, so it's easier to find, but I ended up talking to local publisher or local printers to talk to them about how to get my book published. I was really picky about what type of paper, how the cover was going to look, if they were going to be perforated pages. I did some research about online printers. I decided for my very first book just to get the funds up front so I could use a local printer to use Kickstarter. And that allowed me to get the funds and be able to print my first book on 110-pound cardstock paper with perforated pages. Since then, I still use my local printer for my books, but I also now use CreateSpace, which is a publisher company through Amazon, where they'll print your books more on normal paper, and they'll allow your book to be sold on Amazon.
So, go ahead. I was just going to ask about your local printer and that 110-pound cardstock. Was that cardstock or vellum?
That's cardstock.
Okay. And why did you want it to be so heavy? That's a pretty heavy paper.
Well, I was in a lot of coloring groups, and one of the main concerns that most colorers wanted was something nice and thick so it didn't leak through. And when I color things as well, I do prefer a thicker paper because sometimes I'll use things like watercolors or Sharpies, and that's something that would leak through.
Okay. So I'm really interested in this aspect of it because the Kickstarter campaign, I've heard other coloring book artists use a Kickstarter campaign. How hard was it to get people to fund it, and how did you go about doing that Kickstarter campaign?
It's a huge process. It's something where I think I prepped for it at least for 2 weeks, making all the little pictures and graphics I was going to use. When I launched it, it was an everyday process of just advertising it and just telling everyone about it and just promoting it.
So when you say advertise, do you mean, did you do paid advertising, or did you just start with friends and family?
I did a little bit of paid advertisement. I didn't really have too many friends or family. I was doing a lot of just trying to reach everybody. When I did that Kickstarter, there was still quite a bit of, or there's not as many as there are now, but there was a few coloring groups. So I would advertise a lot in there, and I would have a lot of the admins that were in those coloring groups would also help me advertise my Kickstarter. So that helped a lot.
Oh, okay. So in the end, how much money did you end up raising on a Kickstarter campaign?
It was a little over $3,000.
Wow, that's really good. And that financed the creation of the first coloring book. How many pages did the first book have?
It was 20 different designs.
20 different designs on 110-pound cardstock with a perforation?
Correct.
And how big was the book?
It was 8.5 by 11 inches.
So did the perforation make it so that the final image was like an 8x10, or just frameable if you after you pull it off of the perforation?
Well, I design all my designs to be 8x10. That way they can be framed easily, since that's more of a common framing size.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So
that's really cool.
now they're lots of fun.
So are the images that you create, I know, I mean, I've seen at the grocery store, it's just crazy. You go to the, or bookstores or the craft store, coloring books all over the place, but you can tell that a lot of those are like, pulled from stock images. Are yours designs all hand drawn, or do you use a computer? How do you create your art?
I hand draw pretty much all my designs. What I do is I have my notebook and I'm always sketching in it. And when I finish them, I will bring them to the computer, and either I'll just clean them up, or I might end up recreating them completely into vector art to make sure the lines are very clean. There are some designs where I do create them on the computer, and I use a program called Adobe Illustrator. It's not really generated. It's more like I'm drawing in that program to make them.
I see. Because I've seen that some people actually get drawing tablets that I guess act a lot like having a sketch pad, but you're actually drawing it directly into a computer. Your books are kind of a cool, because you have a theme, and the name of your website is therootsofdesign.com. And so everything that you do is based in the roots of. Can you talk a little bit about some of your books and the roots of, and what's involved in those?
Well, I currently have 4 books that I've published through my business. It just kind of happened. I have a Facebook page, and I was asking my fans, I need some help naming my book. What are some good ideas? And they started throwing my name in there. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea to throw it in with each of my books. So each book so far somehow has a play with my business name, The Roots of Design. So my first book that I put out was called Roots of the Wild, and that's the one I did the Kickstarter on. It's full of wild animals from around the world. There's zebras, giraffes, elephants, narwhal, peacock, turtle, and a lot of other different animals in there. My second book is called Roots of the Heart, and that just has a lot of different designs of hearts in it. There's 20 different designs. My third book I put out was just a mini book, and it's called Magically Rooted in Love. This one is kind of like a fun book. It has a unicorn and dragon in it, and it's a little storybook that you get to color it, and it talks about how a unicorn and dragon fall in love. And then my most recent book is called Rooted in Wacky Fun, and this is probably my favorite one that I've made so far. It's probably closer to the things that I really love to do. It's just kind of like off the wall, wacky kind of designs. I've got taco cats. I've got cows being beamed up by UFOs. I've got a whale with an ice cream cone on his head pretending to be a narwhal. And it's just real fun, just funny things. I love to make things that just put smiles on people's faces.
So describe a taco cat to me.
The ones that I have, I have taco cats in space is what the picture looks like. So you got the head of the cat, and its arms and legs and tail, and then its body is a taco, and it's kind of like flying through space. It's got like a rainbow and stars behind it, and you've got all these planets and other stars on it, and there's a few other taco cats that's kind of like flying through space around it.
That is great. And then you also have a butterfly elephant.
Yes, where it's a little elephant that has butterfly wings and is just flying above flowers in a garden.
Oh, I bet I would like that one. Because I really do I like butterflies, but I can imagine in my mind, I can see this little elephant with those beautiful wings. And then of course, if it's over flowers, that would be really, really cute. I think you're right. Rooted in Wacky Fun does sound like that would be a really fun book to color. And I love the idea, the magically rooted in love, about the unicorn and the dragon, because if you're coloring, it'd be like you become the the illustrator or the coloring artist for a real story. That's really cool. So are most of your books designed just for adults, or could children appreciate them too?
The people who seem to enjoy my book the most are adults, but I have a lot of children that love them as well. I tend to draw where it's more for families, it seems like. I love family coloring, and I'm always getting pictures of families doing my coloring pages or books together, which I just love seeing.
Oh, and that would be really sweet. So, do you think that the coloring book craze is here to stay?
I think it is. It's been around, but it wasn't as popular before it started getting into a big trend. But I don't think it's going to go anyway because all the benefits there are for it. I mean, it helps people who are stressed out and have anxiety.
So,
And go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm coughing.
Okay.
So, do you? A lot of people do talk about coloring books for stress relief. Have you done any programs locally where people at the libraries or anything?
I haven't done anything like a program for a library or anything like that, but I do a lot of shows where I go to cons. I've put on panels where I've taught like coloring 101 to kind of teach people how to do some basic coloring, and then we kind of relax and just make it a fun, relaxed time while we're doing it.
So when people ask you about coloring, do you find that that there is a one way to color that's a better way or a better tool for coloring? I know that a lot of people get like really into the supplies of coloring. Do you have a favorite medium that you like to work with?
I don't believe there's one right way to color anything. I just believe you should just have fun with it. I mean, there's no reason why you have to even stay in the lines. You just do what feels right to you. You don't have to be perfect at it, or you just do it just to have fun. For me, for a coloring supply, I mean, I love all coloring supplies, and I'm always trying to get more because I love to try them all out. Currently, my favorite is to play with watercolor pencils.
So how do you use a watercolor pencil?
There's 3 different ways you can use a watercolor pencil. You can either color in your picture with the pencil, and then you take a paintbrush that's been dipped in water and kind of brush on top of it, and it will blend the color better and kind of make it feel like a watercolor. Or you can take the pencil and dip it right into a cup of water, and then you can draw with it. It kind of feels like you're drawing with an eyeliner pencil when you do that. You have to constantly keep re-dipping it. Or you can take your page and you can wet it with a paintbrush with just water, and then you put the watercolor pencil onto that wet area.
Oh, cool. That I think I would enjoy that. I've heard of, like gel pens. I notice on television too, there's a lot more art supplies being advertised, beyond Crayola. I see that like gel pens, the ones that dry really quickly. Have you noticed that there seems to be either more advertising, or do you think it's just that I'm noticing it because I'm paying attention?
I think there's more advertisements now for it just because it's a huge trend. I know it's hard to go into the store and find supplies. I know when I was putting on my coloring panels, I had a hard time finding certain supplies just for them. I had to order a lot more online. I've seen probably a lot more advertisements online for coloring things. That just happens to be where I hang out more than seeing things online.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to give me 3 tips related to coloring, what would your 3 top tips be?
It would be to have fun, color from the heart, and don't overthink it.
Sounds like really good advice. I want to talk a little bit more about the business side of the of coloring again. You have that unique background because you did the Kickstarter campaigns. So where do you have your physical books that you made with the local printer, or you have used Create Space? So where do you sell your books?
The one books that I do with my local printer, I currently sell through my Etsy, or I sell them at shows that I do. I'm working on trying to get them onto my website here soon. The ones that I do from CreateSpace are on Amazon, and from there they also go to like Barnes and Noble or other online places like that.
So can you tell me a little bit more about Etsy?
Etsy is an online community where I'm not going to say it's all, but it's mostly things that people have created that they list for sale. That's where I originally got started on everything, because I was originally just a coloring book page person until I expanded into the books. On Etsy, I still have a shop going on that has digital downloads for pages, because I have a lot of people who aren't just located near me. Like I have a large following in the UK and Australia, and the shipping cost sometimes is just too much, and they prefer to have like that digital item to be able to get, because it's just easier to get their hands on it.
So how much do people typically pay for a digital image?
It varies. I've seen different prices. I do have bundle deals, and then I have my whole books there. So for like a single digital page, I have mine listed at $250 a piece, and that's US money. After that, if for like a bundle, it will go down in price.
So somebody could buy a page, a digital file, meaning that if they wanted to, they download it and then they could print off. What is there a license that goes with that? Like, are they supposed to only make one copy, or can they make 10 copies? How does that work?
Well, I guess it would depend on how the person has it set up. For me, I put it right in my description and say that when you buy this, you can print out as many as you want. Usually they might print out ones for friends or family, because I get a lot of people who like to color together.
Uh-huh.
If they wanted to do something where it's licensed, where it's going to be like a thing where they wanted to use it for maybe for an event or use it for something more commercial, then I do have a little thing on the bottom that says that you need to contact me, and that would be a different process. But I mean, I've had people where teachers have bought a design and then they use it for their whole classroom for something.
Oh, that would be cool. So for example, if I wanted to get one of the wild animal pages, are any of those available on Etsy?
Yes, they are. So everything that's in my book, I also have as a single page available as a download. And then I have a lot of other designs as well that aren't seen in my books.
Oh, okay. So Etsy is the place to go to see additional things. That's really interesting. I don't know a lot about Etsy. So thank you for enlightening me on that, because that's a whole nother avenue. Most of the people I've talked to have talked about the books, where you have however many images. For the average for your books, you said your first book had, I believe, 20 different designs. Is that the average number of designs for each book, or how many designs would a person expect to have in each book?
My first three just have 20. My next book that's going to be coming out, I think I'm going to increase the number, just because I've been seeing an increase of numbers of other books. When I was getting started, I found that most people had around 20, but now I'm seeing it getting pushed to higher numbers. So to help compete with that, I'm going to be probably bumping mine up to 25 or 30 designs.
And what is your typical Amazon price point if you're buying it from Amazon?
Well, the ones through Amazon, because they're printed on that normal paper, which is the 60 pound, they run somewhere in between, I'm going to say $6.50 to $9.
Okay. And do you have like a little thing like telling people make sure you put something under the page in case it bleeds or anything like that?
On all of those, I put it in the description, and it's as soon as you open up the book as well for the ones that are on Amazon.
Because I know that a lot of people they get concerned because of that paper being thinner, that people won't like their books. But I've seen some coloring books created on CreateSpace, and I think as long as you know that you might have, the issue, and that to put paper under it, it would seem like, they look pretty nice when they're colored. Do you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I mean, even with my cardstock versions that I offer, I still put a piece of paper underneath that's just me, because I tend to color all the way to the edge and I don't want to get it on my table or whatever I'm drawing on. But as long as people know ahead of time, I think the normal paper is just fine as well.
Good. So tell me, how in the world do you keep producing all of these coloring books on such a regular basis?
My head is just full of ideas. I'm always getting some sort of random idea or something's inspiring me. And what I do is I don't always remember everything. So I have this little document that I keep on my computer that I just keep adding the list to. My list is really long, so I have lots of ideas. Sometimes they'll come to me and I'll have like these weird off the wall dreams. I'm like, oh, that could be fun for a coloring page. So I just keep this running list. And when I'm ready to start producing my next book, I go to that list and decide where I'm going to go next.
Can you give me a hint on any of your upcoming books? I know it's going to be rooted in design.
Yeah, I'll probably have the roots. I've been telling people for a while, and I had to put it off a little bit because I had some things come up, but I'm going to be doing one that's going to be Roots of the Forest. That one's going to happen. I'm going to be doing Roots of the Sea. That's going to happen this summer. I'm going to actually put out a midnight edition of some of my designs, which I've been seeing that as a current trend lately, where the backgrounds are just that solid black, and then they can color in. And I'm going to end up putting out some holiday books as well.
So the midnight edition is kind of like working off of that black velvet type of art that you see. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I used to have a lot of posters like that.
Yeah, so it's kind of that concept of having that black background and then the white, and then you color it in. And I could see that. And I really like that, the Roots of the Forest, because I can visualize that in my head, and the sea. And I can see where you really can do a lot with that. You could even do vegetables.
Yes, I could.
So tell me, where can people find out more about you and your products?
I'm all over the place online. I've got my Amazon author page. I'm on Facebook. I'm pretty active on Facebook. That's probably the best place to find me. I have my group on there, or I'm sorry, not my group, my page on there, where I do coloring contests every month for everybody. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. I have my Etsy, and I even have a Patreon.
Tell me a little bit about Patreon. I have not heard of that.
Patreon, it's kind of like thinking it's like Kickstarter. It's supposed to be like a fundraising thing, but it's a monthly thing. So I had a lot of people wanting to have my stuff where they can make sure they get something monthly. So it's like an online subscription where they pay a certain level where they're basically backing it. And every month they get a certain amount of stuff. So I have one level where they get like 5 coloring pages that I will email them. And then I send them color your own bookmarks, postcards, and color your own stickers as well with their package.
Wow, color your own stickers and bookmarks. I like that. Wow, Jeanette, you have really opened my eyes to a lot of possibilities today. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a great day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.